In 1969, history changed forever. Apollo 11 reached the moon safely, and humans walked on the moon for the first time. A small step for man, and a giant leap for mankind. Behind this great achievement was a fine science and complex geometry, but behind it was also a simple computer in an Apollo vehicle called Apollo Guidance Computer, AGC. This computer was designed at the MIT Institute in order to be able to control the vehicle by very simple orders. That great computer, AGC, which made man fly to the moon, its memory was only 16-bit. So you can imagine how small it was. Your phone has a bigger memory hundreds of millions of times. Yes, your phone has the ability to send hundreds of millions of spaceships into the moon at the same time. Not only that, it has more ability than NASA needed to send a spacecraft to Mars. The idea is, in order to send a spacecraft to Mars, you do not need a huge capacity. Your phone, which has massive amounts of ability, you have no idea what it can do, or what it is actually doing. And that will be our today's episode in Informia. Your phone is very interested in you all the time. It knows what you are doing, it knows when you are awake or asleep, it watches your movement inside your home, standing or sitting, on your own, or there's someone with you, it knows your height, weight, and your health in general. You might wonder, how it will know my height? That's very hard, isn't it? Actually not. When you talk on the phone, you put the phone on your ear. Then the phone can easily calculate the distance to the ground simply by the accelerometer. Now you're probably also gonna ask, alright, it can calculate my height, but what about my weight? It's impossible, right? Well, it can calculate how many steps you've walked and what your speed is at a certain time, and how many steps you can climb at a certain time. And, using artificial intelligence, it can accurately calculate how much your weight might be. Okay, I got it, but how can it watch my movement inside my house? If the place you are in right now has a Wi-Fi network, that means there are radio waves around you, but you can't see them, because Wi-Fi uses those waves at either 2.4 GHz or 5 GHz. So, while you are moving inside them, you're breaking and reflecting the waves. Even the simplest things like opening the door can change those waves. In 2018, a group of scientists in California's Santa Barbara made the phone work like a sonar device, and it created a 3D map for those radio waves. It could detect anything that moved inside the waves, even if there were walls in between. These waves are not accurate, they're just lines and waves moving around. Well, no. They found that it was accurate by 92.6%. Even if you go out of the house, your phone still knows exactly where you are. Some applications, which you've allowed to use your location service, record your location once every 2 seconds. That's almost 40,000 times a day, either using your network connection or the nearest mobile tower. Have you ever wondered how Google Maps knows when there's traffic? It knows from the phones inside stopped cars. It can see the location, speed, and movement of each and every one of those cars. So, when it sees many phones stopped, it knows that this road is crowded, and then it sends alerts for you to choose a different road. Although Google does a very useful job here, some applications might not. For example, in December 2018, the New York Times created a report where it collected encrypted data from 1 million people. The New York Times was then able to decrypt this data for a certain number of people and reach the people who had that data. Knowing your real identity using your movement data is not that difficult. If your location says that you spend the whole night at a certain place, it is most likely your house, and you are spending the day hours at another place, then it's probably your work. Knowing other data will lead them to you. The opposite is also possible. If someone knows who you are and wants to know your encrypted number so he can watch you in the future, he can follow you for a whole day and record where you have been each moment. And then he can search for you in the encrypted database for someone who has the same movements you do. He can then watch you from inside his house. That's what the New York Times did with some people, and proved that any intermediate level hacker can do it. So basically, your phone knows a lot about you, and where you go and where you live, but what else can it know? In 2015, a group of researchers at Telefónica in Barcelona, Spain, were able to conclude how bored you might feel, with an accuracy percentage of 83%. By watching some factors like, for example, when did you receive your last call or message, and how fast do you navigate between applications. In addition, by using your microphone, they can know if you're in a quiet or a loud place, or if you are in a light or a dark place using the light sensor. When they start to see that you are bored, they start showing you some articles from the BuzzFeed, typically ones that bored people are more likely to read. This is so they can see how accurate the application is in predicting how bored someone is. They succeed in knowing how bored can you be with only using your phone. Your phone also knows about your psychological health, more than you can even imagine. It can diagnose your psychological disorders, whether it was bipolar disorder, depression, or even schizophrenia. In 2018, 3 scientists in California designed an application that you can download, and it will start watching you. But instead of watching what you do, they started watching how you do it. Like, for example, how fast do you type? How many typos do you make? If you send a message immediately, or wait before sending it. Then, they collected the data, and after analyzing it, they can see if you have symptoms that usually someone with a specific disease or disorder will have. And by comparing, they can find out about your health, even more than you do. Your phone can turn into the best mechanic in the city. It can know what is wrong with your car just by hearing the engine sound. As soon as you turn on the car engine, your phone will start hearing the engine sound and feel the engine vibrations with the accelerometer and the microphone. Then, it can tell you what exactly needs to be repaired in your car. Joshua Stiegel, who was a research scientist at MIT, did his dissertation work on developing architectures for the Internet of Things and applied connected vehicle data to predicting mechanical failures, just by using a phone. They are still working on that application at the moment, and it may be released publicly soon, thanks to artificial intelligence and algorithms. After all, you can stay safe because your phone is very careful to keep your data safe and only use it when you give it permission. In the end, your phone can do all of that by itself without adding any new hardware, and it does not watch your behavior on the internet, like what websites do you open or who are you talking to. Each application watches a different side of your behavior. Imagine if someone could get all your data and link it together. He would know more about you than you know about you. In the end, all of that development exists right now in 2019. What do you think our phones will be able to do in the future? Thank you for watching Informia.